People that were bullied in high school, where are your bullies at now? I wasn't bullied, but my brother had to deal with a particularly bad one in high school. It ended after summer, grade 10, when the guy was drunk and walking next to the highway, was struck and killed by a transport truck. He lost his arm. Ducking idiot. There is a picture of him in the yearbook flexing his bicep that no longer exists. He punched so many of my friends with that arm. I didn't believe it when I heard he lost it because the story goes he picked a fight with the wrong dudes at a bar and they stomped him out and dragged him to the railroad tracks behind the bar. It seems unbelievable, but I looked him up on Facebook and there he is, unable to clap. Side note, it was a pretty common thing in my town in Oklahoma to beat someone down and break their arm on the curb. I ran into him a few years ago. He didn't come from a very good family and would get angry and violent at school. He'd always take it out on the quiet kids like me and just inflict all sorts of emotional abuse. It really ducked me up, to be honest. He cleaned up his acts in high school, college. Found the family he never had in his college mates. He was a lot friendlier when I met him and was clearly trying to make an effort. In truth, I'm just glad that he's happy. It was evident that he was messed up as a kid, so it's nice to see him find his way. My childhood best friend, on the other hand, went the polar opposite. Perfectly good kid who just went off the deep end and became crazy as an adult, lol. One girl that bullied me in middle school and high school ended up getting knocked up in at 19. One time I creeped on her Facebook and found her having an argument with the baby daddy's mom on her page. I read all 200 posts of the drama of them going back and forth. That was how I got over it. Recently got out of prison. He was driving drunk and killed my cousin. She didn't even live nearby. Her mom and her were on a road trip to some family land 3+ hours from where they lived and he happened to be on the way. I wish I could say I was angry at him, but mostly it just makes me sad. My family mostly hates the guy, partially on my behalf. One of my formative memories is my dad saying hi to the kid while we were on a walk, and when I asked why when the kid was mean to me, he said that most mean kids are hurting. I wish I'd taken that chance to be nicer to the kid in return, as he'd largely stopped bullying me by high school. Not that I was mean, but I could have been something. I took that advice, and a lot of other things, and turned it into a career working with at-risk teens, trying to help them break the various familial cycles that cause them problems. He still takes my lunch money. Anyway, Tim, you're the best employee Subway has. Don't know. Don't care. Duck those guys. She was stabbed and strangled to death by her live-in boyfriend, who then left her rotting corpse on the couch of their apartment and continued to live there until the neighbors complained of the smell and called the police. One of my bullies is currently addicted to multiple different kinds of drugs, and the last time I saw her she was being walked out of a KFC by the police, half naked and with only one flip-flop. My elementary high school bully committed suicide April our senior year. Before and after class in elementary school he would punch me and actually beat me up. Once the school caught wind of this, the principal decided to put us in the same class to force us to become friends. He just started punching and making fun of me in class. Then in middle school he would throw rocks at me. The police officer at our middle school talked to him and told him to stay away from me. It didn't change anything. Finally in high school he drifted away from me and finally stopped bullying me. My best friend's mom asked how I felt about his passing. I said I felt very conflicted. On one hand I was incredibly relieved I would never see him again, but on the other I didn't feel comfortable celebrating someone's death. Recently died of a drug overdose, and as everyone was writing things on Facebook like you were an amazing person, all I could think was duck this guy. I know that's ducked up to say, but damn. I attempted suicide, and when I got back to school him and his friends held my arm down so they could see my healing scar on my wrists and laugh at me. Peace out, dude. Update. The general consensus seems to be duck that guy. Thanks everyone for all your amazing words. Life is much better now. I have gotten over it. Life goes on and gets better. At that moment I wasn't happy I survived my attempt. Today I am very happy I survived. It always gets better. Stay strong everyone. Stuck in the same atoll town. Adios, Methodicas. I saw my high school bully about 10 years later at a bar. Strangely enough, he came and apologized to me for his wrongdoings. I forgave him instantly. So hey, yeah, you. If you see someone you've tormented, maybe apologize. Certainly helped me, and I'm guessing him also. Edit. My first award. Thanks for the love. Wasn't bullied in high school, but my bullies from elementary school and middle school almost all turned out to be drug addicts before even graduating high school. So, he is 43, never been married or had kids, works at Walmart stocking shelves overnights. My bully was quite insistent on throwing gay slurs around, especially at me. I'm straight, but masculine has never been a word anybody has used to describe me. When I looked him up online a few years back, I found that he had married another guy and was currently working in a graphic design studio that was currently doing work for the local Pride parade. I'm guessing all that hatred he threw my way was actually just an internal struggle on his part. If that's the case, I'm glad he sorted all that out, and I hope he's happy now. I do not know, and I do not care. I just hope in this lifetime, I never ever have to see them ever again. I hate them all 300 of them. There was this kid in my grade school named Miguel, who would bully me all the time about being poor, a nerd, and because I was a bit overweight. This kid was really cruel and could make me feel down even when I felt great. Like when I got my first pair of brand new sneakers that were mine. All of them before were either from the thrift store or hand-me-downs from my cousins. I was so excited to wear them to the school, and when I did, he comes up to me and says, "Nice new old shoes. I had a pair of those last year." And then he laughs. Made me feel like it the rest of the day. Fast forward to over 15 years later. I'm working a pretty great office job in downtown Chicago. I stop by a McDonald's and I see him behind the counter. He doesn't recognize me because I lost weight and had a beard now, but I definitely recognized him. I felt a bit bad because he was working this itty job, but at the same time it felt kinda good to see that I was doing better than he was at the time, because of how mean he was to me back when we were kids. Still looking back at me in the mirror. She's right over there watching our son play Bloodborne. Hers is right over here at posting about her. 3 are dead. The rest are obese. I feel quite certain that itch Judy is a crack whore with 7 kids by 8 different men. Ugh. I got past the BS. Then I noticed, watching baseball one day, one of my HS bullies went on to play pro ball. He jumped around from the Rangers, Stros, Reds and Orioles. Duckin' guy signed a 3-year $30 million contract a few years ago. A relief pitcher. Not that good, but damn. No idea. None of them really have any online presence anymore, but just living life, I think. No better or worse than I. It seems pointless to hold malice since their itty behavior was created by their itty parents and so on and so forth. I try to forgive. All my bullies had really terrible home lives. Chris Rock recently mentioned a story on Howard Stern about how a bully from high school ended up being security at a movie he was making. He described the bully being the type that lifted him upside down for lunch money. Edit. Source. I'm still in high school, but some of the people who I went to middle school with are pregnant dropouts. My brother bullied me pretty bad when we were in our teens, in school and at home, and now he's my biggest supporter, helped me pay student loans, and calls regularly just to see if I'm doing good, need anything. I didn't get bullied by others in high school because I was somewhat popular and the older kids were mostly friends with my brother or with me. So yes, popular kids can get bullied too. She used to make fun of me for my weight. She is now a Dollar General budget Instagram model promoting body positivity because she's the weight that she used to make fun of me for. The guy who used to bully me for my weight and my friend for being gay is now overweight, balding, and looks like a lawn gnome. I was bullied relentlessly for my squint, strabismus. It drove me to some pretty dark places when I was just in the 6th grade. I blocked out so many parts of school. I don't remember whole years. They, however, are all still in the same friend group. They all hang out, party and still manage to have some pretty successful careers. They are in healthy relationships and always talk about how fun school was for them. It's nice to see other people in this comment section get sweet revenge. But for me, I never got that. I was the loser they bullied and somehow I'm still the loser in their lives. 1 oh dead, 2 are in prison and 1, well that one is a funny story. My neighbors clogged their pipes and flooded their bathroom with human waste and water. Guys showed up to unblock the pipes that run through a sewer connection in my front yard. Neighbors are slightly downhill so they built the sewer drainage on a step. It clogs often. Guess who had to wade through human sewer water? When he knocked on my door to ask for access to the IT tunnel. I had the biggest grin on my face. One became a professional cyclist and the other killed himself at 20. This one guy I found out died in a motorcycle crash not too long ago. A shame. As much of a D as he was to me and others. Sucks to go out so young. We graduated only 3 years ago. I was my own bully. I'm still my own bully. Probably sucking D and doing butt stuff. He really turned his life around when he figured out he was gay and got a boyfriend to D the stick out of him. Good for him. Probably better than where I ended up at. Life's not always fair and karma sometimes isn't real. Earl picked on me all the time due to my severe acne. A couple of years after high school he killed himself. Always wondered what he was dealing with. Dead. Ducking dead. You bet I'm still bitter. Quarterbacking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I know this one because I am the contact coordinator for our class reunions. The one who bullied me and several other girls was a wiry, dark-haired, sarcastic kid with a perpetual scowl. In 7th grade, she poured ink on my chair, hoping I would sit in it. When I didn't, she took a compass and jabbed the point into my shoulder, causing me to run home in fear and terror, bleeding all the way. Later on, I went to the school when nobody was around and shoved a sack of wet dog poop into her locker through the vent holes in retaliation. She bullied so many people she never did guess who did it. She didn't graduate but went to a continuation school and ended up an administrative assistant for a small office. She finally married an underemployed guy, had 2 daughters, and remained fairly poor from what I can tell. I called her personally to invite her to one of our reunions because I wanted to be a better person than my revengeful childish self had been. But I have to say I took perverse pleasure in knowing the $75 ticket price for the evening was too steep for her and she couldn't attend. I used to get bullied a lot for being fat. Now my bullies are fat. Of course I'm still fat but now they are too. She was my middle school bully but I still instantly recognized her in the grocery store parking lot. Lots of tattoos. 2 kids with a third on the way. Boyfriend looking like he was in and out of jail a lot. 90s hatchback. Flip-flops. Smoking a Pall Mall. Loading about 3 cases of soda in the car. I could go on. Well, one of them is a model in LA and an influencer that's pretty popular. There's a heartbreaking scene in Skeleton Twins where Milo, the main character, goes on a beautiful monologue about how when he got older he was supposed to thrive and the bullies were supposed to get what they deserved, but his life is miserable and his bullies all have beautiful families and decent jobs. That's where I met too. Who knows? I left that hick town at 17 and never went back. So far, the worst one has a criminal record for assaulting his wife and petty theft. Another bully sent me a long, heart-wrenching apology saying his son was now being bullied and he realized how bad it was. I thanked him and didn't have the heart to tell him I don't remember who he is. Any of them are Trump-loving rednecks working at jobs. Some have called me a traitor for living outside the US. At least one is very successful and owns his own business. Also loves Trump. Another one is a very successful businessman with a great family. Also loves Trump. One died when he fell through a glass roof his boss told him to clean. Regarding the last one, I feel conflicted. I was told about that when I was 19. When I told the girl in question that I didn't care, she chewed me out. When I asked her why I should feel bad about someone who, like her, tormented me for years and made my life a living hell, she had no answer. But still, the guy's dead. He could have grown up to be a decent person. 19-year-old me was still pretty bitter. Now I'm in my 50s. It was a couple of decades ago that I had stopped replaying my high school years in my head. I'm not bitter anymore, but I wish I could share my current mindset with my younger self. But that's not going to happen. One's in jail for killing a cop. The other is my best friend and has been for the last 15 years. Saw an old bully at an AA meeting a few years back. pretty down and out. Weirdly enough ended up being one of my sponsees. Dunno. Only heard from one since those days. I received an apology out of nowhere from someone I never considered a bully but still had problems with. It showed me that he had grown more than I had. Decided to let go of my hate. I haven't looked back since. The middle school bully and his mate ended up in legal trouble. Misdemeanors to almost a felony at one point. He got addicted to drugs and almost had his life forfeit. Fast forward another 2 years. He got his act together. Found a woman that wouldn't put up with his crap. And they had twins. Ran into him one Christmas break visiting family and he had started up his own business and was really happy to tell me about it. I was super excited for him and was glad he is doing better. His mate served some time in the pen but finally got out and I think has a low-key job to support his kid. She is my wife now. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. They got shot near Detroit because they thought waving the Confederate flag around the city was a smart idea. No idea. And I'm not going to lose sleep over those thugs or search them on social media. Not worth it. If I had to guess. Probably in gangs and going to trap bump parties. Thank God none of them have ducked with me on Facebook. I've found a wonderful job at the local library. An amazing partner. And I'm focused on life in the here and now. I don't remember why she's on my Facebook. Or who added who. But she's got 2 kids and another on the way. Seemingly happily married. It seems like she's a great mother. And her children look very happy. She bullied me pretty hard freshman junior years. Then senior year she got pregnant. Fell out with her other bully friends. And I never knew what really happened to her after high school until a few years ago. Honestly, I'm really happy for her. I'm glad to see that she's got a healthy, happy family and husband. I would never say hi to her if I ran into her. But I do get a little joy every time I see her adorable little daughters on FB. I just hope that she's changed enough that her daughters won't grow up to bully like she had in high school. Not sure. So I checked FB. Most of them have multiple kids, are fat, skanky, and still working in a shop in the hometown. So basically pretty much nothing has changed since I left school 15 years ago. Capital I. On the other hand, live up a mountain on a tropical island in a house filled with plants and dogs and I am looking bangin'. He joined the army and wouldn't listen to his superior officer. He ended up stepping into a minefield that the squad wasn't supposed to even be near. Now he has no arms or legs. He's still an asshole though, so his wife ended up leaving him and his family now takes care of him. It's a sad story but I don't feel bad for him. He drove a friend of mine to suicide and got exactly what he deserved. Hopefully lying a ditch somewhere. Not sure. Don't care. I'm doing better in life and there's little that can convince me otherwise. Probably a lot happier than I am. ATM. Dead. Drugs. I went to his funeral. It was nice. The family had lots of money. One died and one's a dope head. I hope ducking rotting in hell. Duck that guy. Last I heard in jail. Busted in the bath tube with a bunch of guns as the cops raided his house. Made the news. Was satisfying. My junior high bully is now a Christian rock solo artist, but probably still has a day job. I know that no one would believe me, but I will say it anyways. One of them died while at gym working out. Was an elementary school bully, not a high school. Another one got drunk. Murdered his pregnant wife. It seems he doubted she cheated on him and that was not his baby. Got caught and sentenced to execution. Not sure if he got a lesser sentence through an appeal later or not. Here is his story. In Arabic, use Google to translate. Warning. The crime details are very cruel and very disturbing. I know they're far away from me, and that's all I care about. Somewhere still in their hometown, either doing bullet jobs or working for the family business. I definitely don't feel like I won or something, but it is predictable. Definitely doing way better than them though, so maybe success is the best revenge. I had a lot of bullies, so I'll only count the big ones. One was murdered after she thought the same manipulative, uppity bullet she did high school was something she could get away with in the adult world and pissed off the wrong person. The other is in prison because he is a violent sociopath. I saw him a couple days ago and he took my lunch money again. Then he asked me if I wanted extra napkins with my Big Mac. The guy who used to bully my brother and I back in elementary to early middle school ended being my best friend few years later. Don't know why we got close, but I realized his bullying tendency stems from his jobless father who was a bad influence on him when he was a kid.